How's it going, guys? Cameron Falkman and Lilia.
Hey
We
guys, so excited to see you later today. This is our presentation.
we went down to Eastern Market. We had a really great time last weekend. We met all kinds of interesting characters, and we're happy to try out some negotiation skills. So we're going to dive right in and show you what we learned and kind of what we got out of the experience. So to start off, basically based on our preparation, we decided that Eastern Market would be an ideal location for the negotiation because of, first of all, the ease of access, the diversity of just like the items and like different cultures that are available. We talked to people who had stuff brought in from Cairo, Egypt. We had people from various parts of Africa and Europe and Asia. There was just a lot of diversity within the market itself, which was cool because we were also kind of, apartment hunting for like different items for each of our places. So it was nice to kind of flesh that out. And yeah, we've just figured there'd be a lot of room for interesting conversations with the vendors there. So in
A lot of great
preparation,
food choices too. Got some
yeah,
good snacks, got some good lunch.
tons of snacks. The snacks were great. And we were pleasantly surprised by some of the stuff we actually got as part of one of the deals. So we'll more on that later. But in preparation, we decided to look back at some of the key things from the readings, specifically Shell's Foundations of Negotiations. In getting ready for this, we looked at establishing norms and thinking about what kind of questions we can ask based on like the pricing they had available in the stalls to be like, all right, here's a set, price. How can we negotiate around that to compare to like another item? So that was, I believe, the second and third foundations of Shell's book. So we wanted to do that with the goal setting and just kind of keep that in the back of our minds when we were going over there. And we also wanted to, really follow the listening strategies employed by Professor Uri in his TED Talk presentation we watched the other week. Lily and I are both major extroverts and outgoing people, so I think it was safe to say that we wanted to really kind of, practice the method of, just kind of putting our competitive side to the side for a moment and just kind of listening to what the vendors had to say and what they had to bring to the table because we had no idea what we were going to learn from these people. And to be honest, we were both a little nervous that these people are trying to sell their stuff, so we wanted to just keep all of that stuff in mind to have a careful but also measured approach when we were going into this.
And haggling is not really something that's part of American culture the way it is part of a lot of other cultures. And we weren't really sure how that would go over with set prices in an open air market, but we had a number of different strategies and approaches to different stalls and got some really valuable insight.
Absolutely. No, we learned a lot, and we definitely had some takeaways. So going into the first negotiation we did, I'm a huge history nerd and a cartography nerd as well. I can barely even say the word. So I'm really drawn to just maps. My apartment's full of old like maps of like DC and New York and all kinds of stuff. So when I saw there was a vendor selling some historical prints, I was immediately drawn over there. So when Lily and I visited there, right off the bat, we noticed something interesting about the two prints I have on screen right now. We kept the price tags on them. And as you can see, one of them has a $12.50 price tag, whereas the other one has a $15 price tag. And they're the exact same size, but the cheaper one actually has more color and is older. So that threw me right away because I'm like, I wonder why they're selling one that is, significantly older by like about a century and also, is a vast, slightly different price and more detailed. So already the idea had popped in my head because not only was I interested in these, but I was like, I might have a window here. So we went over to talk with the vendor there. And here you can see an action photo Lilia took in the moment of me speaking with the vendor. I'm really going for it. That I'm checking my phone for, I believe, just looking up the sources she was telling me about, because when I asked her about the disparity about, why are these maps priced differently? She said, oh, well, it's because we get them from different sources. And I thought that was a little strange because, they're printed the exact same way, they're sold under the same vendor. So I was like, okay, different sources, fine. But something I remembered from just last weekend and negotiations in general that I need to work on is asking more questions and getting more clarity. I was on one of the teams that didn't figure out the seed petal distinction in the first negotiation. And that really spoke to me with, I need more detail going to my negotiations. And so I also, employing Shell's fifth and sixth foundations, I was thinking about, first of all, with the fifth, the other party's position and thinking, what do they know? What are they using? And thinking about what their perspective is. Is it that they're just from different sources and that's why they're priced differently? And then also the curiosity approach, that was in the Difficult Conversations book of, what are they thinking? What's their perspective? What are they up to with this? And then also asking, well, who has leverage? I'm here to buy these maps. I don't know how well they sell. I don't know what they're, going for. I don't know what they're willing to sell them for really, because of the disparity in prices. So these were all things playing out subconsciously in the back of my mind, speaking with this woman. And ultimately, I could have just been satisfied with that first response that, oh, they're from different sources. Therefore, one's got to be priced a little bit more than the other. But I decided to double down and press and say, well, the map that's selling cheaper is significantly more detailed. It's much older. So I'm curious why, this is an extra price. And I was surprised that the vendor almost immediately was like, oh, you know what, this is from our holiday sale, this other map. We had it priced a little bit more, then I'm willing to bring it down to $12.50 if that's fine. And I was surprised, like she immediately, the moment I asked a follow-up, decided that, she was fine with selling them for the same price. So we were able to walk away from there with two maps, each priced $12.50. And I was really happy about that. And I was surprised with how little effort that situation took with just kind of bringing a little bit more questioning and confidence to just figuring out what the items were. So that was a positive first negotiation, and now I have some nice maps for the apartment. So sorry, Lily, did you have something you wanted to add? Or
I just wanted to say that this is a pretty busy stall. So there were
Yes.
lots of customers who were coming in and out and looking at different prints. And as soon as Cameron pointed out the discrepancy in prices, the vendor was very willing to go down. I think she could tell that he was really invested in the product and was really interested in buying it. And he would be, a sure sale if the prices were explained to him. And so just being able to watch that go down was really interesting to see Cameron's techniques and how he differed himself from the other buyers.
Absolutely. No, that was because this was kind of our first gig, like with this. We didn't know what we were going to get going into this. We had kind of scouted out all the stalls beforehand to try and get some idea of, who would be willing to, who may be good to negotiate with. So we flagged this one right away early on, and we came back to it, and we used that strategy with a couple other of the stalls you'll see as well.
Yeah, we did a lap of all the vendors, kind of see who would be a good mark for what strategy, and if there were products that we actually were interested in buying versus just, engaging in conversation. But yeah, we marked the map stall early on.
Oh, for sure. And that goes hand in hand with kind of just like setting your targets, like knowing who may be, willing to negotiate. And we got some real challengers, down the line that we'll get to, but we didn't know what to expect with some of these people. So going into this, second negotiation, my dad used to be a concert promoter. So, he had a, great appreciation for music. I was born in between his last, U2 and Rolling Stones concerts. So naturally I am into music. So when I saw these Police and Sting albums, at this stand, I was drawn to that. And plus, it was just a really interesting, collection. And the guy was super nice. So we were looking through these, and something that stood out right away was the Sting album was priced for $20. Whereas there were two Police albums. One Police album was $35, but then another one was $65, which I thought was fascinating because I'm like, what is the discrepancy between these two Police albums that one is literally nearly double the amount of the other? So that I thought was another opportunity to discuss because I am a Police fan and a Sting fan. So I wanted to see where I could get with this vendor. And then here you can see another action shot that Lilia did a great job taking of me spending probably close to 15 minutes perusing all of these just to get a good idea of what I was interested in. But
it was way longer than 15 minutes.
She was very patient because I had no idea what I was looking for. And every time I saw one, I thought I was interested. I was like, oh, wait, they have this? So, patience is key. And honestly, patience applied to this whole negotiation, actually, because we tried to use the listening approach here. And, going off of what I cited earlier with Professor Uri's TEDx presentation about how important it is to listen to the other party to see, really what they want, what their perspective is. And I thought, hey, well, maybe if I, have a conversation, ask the vendor about his experience and his collection. Clearly this is something he's probably passionate about. And he was, and he talked a lot about the collection and, the years it's taken for him to acquire all of these. And, I got him talking for a good amount of time about it. And I think, the payoff of that was, he felt more comfortable speaking with me. And he even mentioned then at the end of his spiel that, hey, I could probably twist his arm on, some of the prices. And I'm not sure if that offer would have been available to me had I not struck up a conversation about music with him and talked about our shared interests and artists. So I think that was a really helpful way to open up the negotiation to start. But going from there, a big takeaway that I learned was I think I got a little ahead of myself. And that's kind of just like being cautious, because one positive thing I did was I did Shell's third foundation of setting norms, because I said, well, look, you have this one, Police album that's going for 35, and then you have another Police album going for 65. And I was looking through, and a lot of the albums were priced in the $20 to $30 range. So I said, this is a bit of a discrepancy. I go, and I wanted to ask, is there a reason that the prices, that you price them the way they do? And what he told me was that, he kind of just got all the prices from the internet, and he'd look up, value and get a rough estimate off of that. And I think him telling me that was nice, because it gave me almost a leverage advantage to say, okay, I go, well, now I know that, maybe this isn't off of his judgment, but, some other sources. And the way he phrased it was he wasn't even too confident in the internet's, evaluation of this. So I definitely saw an opening there. So what I did was I gave an anchor price. I said I offered to pay $25 for the Police album, and then the full $20 for the Sting album. But seemed like things were going to work out. And then unfortunately, I think I fell trap to the guilt I was having, or my emotions, because the vendor then referenced, he said, oh, well, I have 13 kids at home, and, I have to pay for, all kinds of support for them, and dental work and all kinds of stuff he went into it. And he said it, and Lilia could tell this, and I couldn't tell this in the moment, but he was clearly joking. But I think because I was feeling so guilty about the fact that we were kind of, negotiating with these vendors in the first place, I was vulnerable in that moment to actually buying what he was saying. So in that split second, without taking time to reflect or even think about it, I said, oh, you know what? I'll do 35. I'll do 35. So still, I had gotten it down $30, but that extra 10 came about only because he had jokingly said that, and in the heat of the moment, I folded and paid an extra 10. So that was unwise of me. And Lilia and I even discussed right afterwards. We're like, Lilia's like, yeah, he was clearly joking, Cameron. But I was like, dang, I didn't put that together. And I think going forward, I need to kind of take a moment and pause and think, even if it's in a stressful moment, before doing something rash like that, because otherwise I think I might have been able to potentially save $10 more in that deal. So any other takes on that one, Lily? I know it was pretty embarrassing, that last moment there, but
No, you were fine. I was just standing and watching you do your thing. You were there for, a while, but it was the vendor was very easy to talk to. It was very collegial. And it was just a nice Saturday morning conversation. Also, just want to apologize. I know I've been sniffling this entire presentation. It is allergy season, and I am not doing too hot.
it's fair. I have the same problem.
Wanted to get that out because I know
right
that it's
spring hits.
distracting.
No. I think that's a common problem. Those cherry blossoms, they're deceptive. They
are. All right. So this was our third stop on the negotiation train. I saw that this vendor and the stand had advertised being Moroccan. I am Moroccan. I know I don't really look Moroccan, but my father was born in Tangiers. His family left in the 1970s. Before that, they had lived there for about 500 years after the Spanish Inquisition. So my family is very Moroccan culturally. And I always get very excited when I get to meet other people from North Africa, and normally that enthusiasm is reciprocated. So haggling is very, very common in Moroccan marketplaces and all over throughout North Africa and the Middle East, you usually don't pay the price that's listed or what the vendor tells you. You can always go lower. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to try out some negotiation tactics that wouldn't have flown well with other vendors. So I as soon as we approached the vendor, I asked him, I said, "Are you from Morocco?" And I knew the answer was going to be yes, but I still wanted to give him the opportunity to say that because people are really proud of their heritage. And as soon as he told me that he was, I told him that my family was from Tangier, and he told me his family was from Rabat. He asked when my family came here, and we talked about, how often we visit and how much family we still have there and our favorite foods. And so the prices that we saw on the products were, I didn't challenge it, but I knew that there was an opportunity for us to get a little more for our dollar, if we just played by the rules. So I purchased this chili honey. I've been looking for a nice hot honey to put on like my favorite breakfast foods, but I saw that and I was interested. And then Cameron and I started focusing on these energy bites that were not marked with prices, but on a display that kind of more aggressively advertised than some of the other products. So we were talking about them with different flavors, and the vendor told us to pick one, whichever one we wanted. And then Cameron and I couldn't decide which flavor. So then the vendor gave us both. So we really got a lot more. Even though we only, spent the $10 that was advertised, we got more for our dollar than we would have gotten otherwise.
Our indecisiveness was a virtue in that situation. Who would have thought? But it actually did propel us there. And there's a little secret extra lesson there somewhere, I think. But
I want to be clear, I had no interest in eating the date and turmeric bites. They're unopened on my counter right now, but free stuff is free stuff. And I'm all about the hustle.
So they're all sitting unopened for us. But hey, it's visually they're nice. It's nice packaging.
So for this, our fourth lesson here was, finding shared backgrounds and using that to establish a rapport with the vendor or the seller, and having negotiation go your way. We relied on Shell's fourth foundation of relationships, and the curiosity approach from difficult conversations. But one of the main takeaways from difficult conversations is that forming a human connection with somebody is a really effective strategy because it makes the other person feel seen and understood and respected. This was something that I noticed really strongly in the seminar last month. Some of the people that I negotiated with made such an effort to make me feel that they understood my side and that they liked me as a person. And I was so much more willing to find a resolution with them because I was like, oh, we're on the same team here. We have stuff in common. I like you. You're nice. You're respectful. I want to work with you to find a solution. So, Moroccans, North Africans in general, are really proud of their heritage. And I knew that I could play into that to have a nice conversation and hopefully get some good results from this stand. So like I said, as soon as I saw that Moroccan in the word, we walked over and we had a good time. So this is our fourth stop. There was a big, larger than average shop that had purses, jewelry, hats, all these different types of accessories. I am floating the idea of going to Tuscany in summer with money I do not have. So I wanted to get some fun earrings to wear with outfits that I have not yet purchased. And as soon as we walked into the stand, I noticed that, at least half of the products, the little label on them had been crossed out and marked with a second lower price that was usually around 50% off of the original price. So I got the idea that the seller's objective was to sell as many products as possible. She wanted, she was really there to offload some of her inventory. And I thought that this would be a great opportunity to offer a price that was lower than what was marked, just because of the incentive to get rid of products. So these are the two earrings that I was interested in. They were each marked at $24. The original price was $48. And so I offered the vendor $35 for both of them. She very promptly informed me that the price on the sticker was the only price she was willing to accept, which I respected. I liked the earrings. I thought $24 was perfectly reasonable for both of them. I just, wanted to go lower because why not? And so I bought them anyway. Also just want to say, what they say, the bigger the hoop.
But hats off to Lilia though. I mean, she really went for it despite the seller not budging on the price. I mean, it's good that she asked in the first place because she was already getting to know the vendor and things were going well. So she thought here's an opportunity. I always think it's a good idea to at least very much try to see if you have a window there. So, I mean, I thought it was a very smart move based on the calculus that she had put together. So, just another great learning lesson I feel like we took away there. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And so that brings us to lesson number, I think we might have miscounted this, but you can't negotiate with someone who is not willing to negotiate. They're super cute. I hope you agree because you just saw pictures of them. So I wanted to purchase these earrings, but I also wanted to make sure that I was getting the best price possible. I was not willing to walk away from the sale. I wanted these earrings. And so when the seller told me that the price was firm, I didn't try to counter offer. I just accepted it. I knew that it would be really unproductive to try to counter after she had told me that she was not willing to accept another price. And I also didn't want to be disrespectful. I think that's something that's, very ingrained in American culture, is that the seller is pricing the item at what they think is appropriate based off of the materials and the labor and the expertise that went into creating this product. And I didn't want to disrespect her by implying that I thought that her products were cheap or that I wasn't willing to pay the price that she thought was fair. So I accepted the total price of $48, and now I have 2 new pairs of earrings.
And this was a common issue that I think each of us faced going through the vendors, is we wanted to keep respectful. And I think that's part of the issue with what I had with the records vendor as well. Was I was thinking, oh God, you may be joking around, but am I being disrespectful? So this was something that was in the back of our minds going through all this. And I think it's something that just with time, like we just have to know each person we're working with and take some time to get to know the person before we know if we're crossing any boundaries or not. But thankfully we walked away from all these with good relations, I think.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Just another comment about like cultural differences. I've spent a lot of time in Israel. I have a lot of family there, and there's the Shuk, which is the big marketplace. There, it is very, very common to just pull a number, from wherever, and just that's what you want to pay. And you can tell the vendor, like, I'm not paying more than this. Like, and they're so willing to make a sale that there's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of passion, and you really can't be employing those tactics at Eastern market. It's just not the same audience. It's not going to be well received. And so cultural norms can definitely play a huge part in negotiation tactics.
Yeah, know your audience, as Shell said from our first week of reading. So very important.
Thanks for behind that back, Cameron.
Oh, of course. So yeah, we have a little summary conclusion here, just talking about the various lessons learned, which you'll also get in the great handout.
One page, which will be uploaded in a little bit.
Absolutely. So you guys can check that out there. And Lily, I made sure it was nice and color coded as well. So you guys will get some nice popping themes there. And then again, just to reiterate some of the tactics we had. And then Lily, I'll let you feel free to describe the picture we have here.
Absolutely. Do you want me to do that after we go through lessons learned, or?
I mean, whatever takes priority for you here.
So as you can see in the photo, we found some fascinating footwear at Eastern Market. These off-brand Crocs that are bedazzled with designer logos. I've never seen anything like that, and I was obsessed. These are the height of camp, and I have no occasion to wear them, but I just could not resist. I did not buy them because they did not have the rainbow Chanel Crocs in my size. I was very disappointed, but we had a lot of fun speaking with that seller and learning about the products. And these would make a great birthday gift for any of your loved ones.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for the Croc size, this would have certainly been the centerpiece negotiation we did, but it is what it is. So we still got the picture though, at the very least. So
that's all that matters.
Absolutely. So again, just to reiterate, asking questions, listening to the other party, being cautious and not having knee-jerk reactions to things people say in the heat of the moment, looking for shared backgrounds like Lilia excellently demonstrated, and knowing when to stop when you're ahead, or when you have the price you need, or when you can tell the other party's not going to budge and you want to preserve the relationship. These were all key things that I think we took away from our visit over to Eastern Market. So.
And some of the tactics that we used, we really relied heavily on Shell's foundations. We found them to be really guiding in the way that we approached all of these different types of vendors. And we also relied on Professor Uri's listening approach and the curiosity approach. You really need to be able to tailor your communication style to your audience, but we found that to be a lot easier than we would have expected in the moment.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it was an adventure. We had a lot of fun going through these vendors and testing out these different approaches and kind of seeing what worked, seeing what didn't, and hopefully being better negotiators for it. So we thank you guys for your time watching the presentation today, and we will get those Crocs at some point. Honestly,
No.
they're
Although we got some snacks, we got some jewelry, we got some music, we got some maps, but the most important treasure is the friendship that we made along the way.
right. That's right. That's something you can't negotiate. That's non-negotiable, as they say. So thank you so much,
Thank you
guys.
guys so much.
Have a good one.
We'll see you in class.
Bye.